Hey everybody, welcome to this month's live Q&A. I appreciate you being here. If you're new here, welcome. If you're watching this on a replay, thanks so much for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate it. And once we finish the live, I'll add chapter settings to the video so that if there's any questions that you want to review or go back to, all you have to do is click on the link in the chapter settings and it'll take you right to that question. So if you have any questions during the live, you can go ahead and add them to the comment section. And if I have time or I know the answer, I'll answer them at the end. Otherwise, I'll add them to the next live Q&A. So let's go ahead and get started. The first question, how can I use Siri to make a phone call? So that's a great question. Let me come over to my iPhone. So when you're using Siri, there's a couple of ways that you can do it so that you never have to open the phone app if you don't want to. If the individual is in your contacts list, you can always just say, "Hey, Apple lady, call Susan Smith." And if you have two numbers in there for that individual, you're going to have to designate it. So you can say, "Call Susan Smith home," or "Call Susan Smith mobile," and Siri will recognize it and then call that number. If you forget, Siri will remind you. So if you say, "Hey Siri, call Susan Smith," and Siri's going to try to do that, so I'm going to cancel that. She'll tell you like if there's two numbers and that you need to go ahead and call that individual either at home or on mobile. Another option though is if you have just the phone number for the individual and they're not in your contacts list, you can also just say, "Hey Siri, dial 412-555-5555.
Calling +1 412-555-5555.
And as you can see, Siri will just go ahead and dial that number for you. And so it just makes it really easy so that you never have to open the phone app, locate the dial pad, and call a number. You can just do it directly using Siri. Question number 2, how can I find the model number of my iPad? So let's come over to the iPad. And to find the model number, I am going to put a little privacy screen up. All you have to do is come into the settings area, tap on General, tap on About, and you'll see you have some, information here. You have the name of your iPad, and you can name your iPad anything you want. If you click in here and hit the X, you can type in whatever, you want to name your iPad. Then you have the model name, and here's the model number. So say you want to know more about this particular model. If you push and hold on the model number, a pop-up appears to copy that number. Go ahead and click on copy, and we'll swipe out of here and come into Safari. And then I'm just going to tap into Safari so that I get the paste to come up by tapping on the cursor. And I'm going to tap on paste and search. And you'll see right at the very top, it shows me the model at Best Buy. Down below, you'll also see that that model number is located, on Apple's site. So give me a second and I'm going to remove that and I'll click on the Apple site. And so this is the exact model that I have. So you can see that it's a 12.9-inch display. It's space gray. It's 256 gigabytes. So Basically what you're doing is coming in and seeing all the text specifications of your device. So if there's something you want to know about your device, copy that model number, paste it into Safari, and go ahead and search for the model. And it's just an easy way to see everything about your particular model that you purchased. So let me come out of that real quick. And we'll move on to question number 3. How can I take a photo with a timer on my iPhone? So let's come over. I'm going to do an overhead shot of my iPhone. So if I open the camera app, and what you're seeing is a dark screen because it's sitting on my desk, but I can still show you the option. If I tap on this little arrow at the top of the screen, right here, if I tap on that, you're going to see that the camera options appear below. And what we're looking for is the timer option right here. So if you don't see it, you might have to swipe to see it. Once you see the timer option, tap on it, and you have 2 options available. You have a 3-second timer or a 10-second timer. And if you're going to take, say, a portrait of your family and you set it all up and you want to be in that photo, you're going to want to choose 10 seconds because that's going to give you enough time to get in the photo, get yourself posed correctly before the shutter goes off. And it will count you down, and you'll hear it. If you turn up the volume, you'll hear it from, where you're standing to have the photo taken. But here's the other thing I want to remind you is once I turn on 3 seconds, you'll see it appear up here in the right-hand corner. And once I set it, if I swipe out of the camera after I've taken the photo and come back in, that option is still on. So you have to remember to turn off the timer when you're finished. And you just go ahead and tap on the up arrow again, tap on the timer, and then tap on off. Your other option is to tap on the timer up in the right-hand corner, and that will bring you to that as well. And then you can turn off your timer. And then once you swipe out and come back in, the timer will be turned off. One more thing to note about the timer. If you have, and I hope I have this correct, if I don't, it's the opposite, but if you have live photos turned off and you have a timer on, I believe it's going to take what's known as a burst mode photo. So what's going to happen is it's going to take 10 photos in quick succession. And then what that does is it allows Apple to say, this is the best photo that we got out of those 10 photos. You'll be able to see all 10. You'll be able to choose the photo that you want. But if you have live photos turned off, you're going to get a burst mode. And you may want that because people have a tendency sometimes to blink their eyes or maybe move slightly. And so a burst mode photo is a great thing for the timer. If you have live photos turned on, I believe it will only take 1 picture. So that's the difference between having live photos on and live photos off using the timer. Question number 4. How can I delete multiple contacts at one time? So again, I'll do an overhead shot, and I want to come into my Contacts app. So I'll just search for it and open it. And what you're going to see here is a list of all my contacts. And say I have a few contacts in a row that I'd like to delete. Using 2 fingers, if I tap on a contact and it'll turn gray, and I swipe down, I can select all of those contacts. If I push and hold on them, now it allows me to either merge these 3 cards or I can delete these 3 contacts. You can even go back. These will remain gray. You could search through your contacts, and then if you find other contacts in a row that you want to delete, again, 2 fingers, tap the contact, and then swipe down. And now when I push and hold, now I have 6 contacts that I can delete. So that's just an easy way to delete your contacts. Question number 5. Is there a way to remove the text icons when using the share sheet? Yes. So I'm going to come into Safari, and I'm just going to tap on the share sheet, and you'll see these little texting icons appear. And that just makes it easy if you want to share something with somebody that you text with all the time. The people that you text the most often are going to appear there. But if you don't want that, I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. Come into the Settings app, locate Siri and search. Scroll down until you see suggestions from Apple, and you can see I have a lot of these turned off, but the one I have turned on is show when sharing, and that's those texting icons. So if I turn that off and I come back into Safari, those icons have been removed. I really like that option, so I'm going to turn it back on, but that's up to you. If you want to get rid of your texting icons, you can absolutely do that by just toggling that switch off. So all you need to do is go to Settings, Siri and Search, and Show when sharing. And you didn't see any of that. Let's try that again. You'll just go to Settings, you'll go to Siri and Search, you'll scroll down until you see Suggestions from Apple and toggle Show when sharing. Toggle that off. The other things so that you can see it, go to Safari, tap on the share sheet, and you'll see that those text icons have been removed. I like having them there. Let me turn it on so that now when I tap the share sheet, those texting icons are there. I apologize for that. But that's how you can remove those texting icons. Question number 5. I just purchased an Apple Pencil. What apps would be good for taking notes and converting handwriting to text? So I really like the Notes app for that. And I think the Notes app is probably one of the best apps on the App Store for taking notes. But there are tons of note-taking apps, and so maybe you like something else like Evernote or GoodNotes. I use GoodNotes, but for the most part, I use the note-taking app, the Notes app. And if you want to convert handwriting to text using your Apple Pencil, what you want to do is come in to Safari, make sure that you tap on Apple Pencil. Make sure that Scribble is turned on. And that's what's going to allow you to handwrite something and convert it into type. Below that, you'll see an option to try Scribble. And when you tap on that, Apple gives you a little tutorial about how to do that. So you can go in and play around with the tutorial and learn, how to do these things with the Apple Pencil. It's a great tutorial feature. So if you're using an Apple Pencil with your iPad and in the Notes app, go through this tutorial. I think it'll help you out. Question number 7. Is it possible to customize the scrolling speed on the iPad trackpad? Yes, it is. So, if you have an iPad that's connected to a keyboard that has a trackpad on it, or even if you use a mouse with your iPad, you can adjust the speed at which the mouse, the cursor, moves back and forth across the screen. So if I come into Settings, and this time I'm going to tap on General, and I'm going to tap on Trackpad and Mouse. Here is the tracking speed, the scrolling speed. So if I adjust this, and now my mouse moves so fast, or if I was using a trackpad, it would move so fast across the screen. If you put it at the very fastest setting, it's almost uncontrollable. So I like to take my scrolling speed down a little bit slower so that I can move my cursor around the iPad more controlled. And so I think that's what they were asking about, is how do you control that speed? And this is how you do it, is coming to General, tap on Trackpad and Mouse, and then adjust your speed. Question number 8. Help, I can't connect to hotel Wi-Fi. I get a message stating cannot verify server identity. So let's come back to the iPhone. Let me swipe out of this area. And I'm going to come in to the Settings app. And then I'm going to come back to the main settings page and tap on Wi-Fi. Now I'm going to tap on this little I next to Wi-Fi. If you have private Wi-Fi address turned on, that may be the reason that you're unable to connect to hotel Wi-Fi. Hotel Wi-Fi, obviously, it's a public Wi-Fi hotspot, and with private Wi-Fi address turned on, the hotel Wi-Fi may not be able to recognize your device. So you may need to come in and turn off private Wi-Fi address, and then you should be able to connect to the hotel Wi-Fi. Here's another thing I'll caution you on using public hotspots. If you're using a public hotspot, and you may already know this, but for security and privacy reasons, I would never do anything on a public hotspot, such as open my bank accounts to look at them, look at my credit card accounts, or anything that I feel I want to keep secure and private, that I don't want anybody stealing my information, which has happened on public hotspots. So you just want to be very careful. When I use a public hotspot, I usually use what's known as a virtual private network, and that is an app that you can get on the App Store, and you have to pay for it. But basically, what it does is it pings your address all over the place so that they can't locate where you are on the internet to steal your information. It kind of makes that network private. So just be careful if you're using a public hotspot. It's great if you're just wanting to scroll the internet or maybe look at unimportant emails. A public hotspot is just fine, but be careful of that. Question number 9. Is there a way to stop the macro option in the camera from jumping between macro and standard? Yes. So let's come into the camera app. And I'm just going to lift my camera up a little bit, and you're going to see a little yellow icon in the bottom left corner that looks like a flower. That is the macro option. And what you use the macro option for is if you're taking a close-up photo of something, so maybe a flower or a bee on a flower, that allows you, that macro setting allows you to get really close to take that photo and get really good detail. But sometimes you're in between a macro setting and a standard setting, and the camera doesn't know what to do. So it flashes the macro icon, then it goes back to standard, and it goes back to macro. So the best thing to do at that point, unless you're wanting macro, then you're going to have to get closer. But if you want to take a standard photo, the best option then is to turn off the macro setting. And to do that, you're just going to come in to the Settings app. We're going to go back to the main settings page. We're going to come all the way down to Camera, scroll to the bottom, and just turn off that macro control. And then the lens won't flow back and forth between those two settings. And then when you're finished, you can come right back in there and toggle that macro switch back on. Question number 10. I'm selling my iPad, but I'm not quite ready to buy a new one. How long will my iCloud backup remain in the cloud? That's a great question, and I did not know the answer to that question, so I kind of had to look it up because I wasn't even sure there was an answer. But Apple states that they will hang on to your iCloud backup for 180 days. So you don't have to be concerned right away with purchasing a new iPad. You have some time. The other option that you can use so that you always have a backup is you could back up your iPad before selling it or giving it away to iTunes on either your PC or your Mac. And then you'd be able to restore a new device from iTunes. I will put a link in the video description with an article from Apple on how you can do that. I very rarely do an iTunes backup. In fact, I haven't done one in years. I store most of my backups in iCloud. Question number 11. Is there a calculator app for the iPad like the one in Control Center on the iPhone? Sadly, there is not. But there is a workaround that you can use. If you pull down on your screen on the iPad, you can do basic math calculations inside of the search bar. So if I type in 33 times 3, you're going to see that it immediately gives me the answer to that. If I go ahead and I delete that and I type in 99 divided by 3, again, it's going to give me the answer. So your search bar can do basic calculations. Hopefully, I would love for Apple to put a calculator app on the iPad, because some people have an iPad but don't have an iPhone, and it would be a great option for those people. And you can buy them in the App Store, but why should you have to pay for a calculator? So this is a quick fix. You can go ahead and use the search bar for basic math calculations. And this is the last question that I have for today. How can I save a text conversation to share with a friend? So let me come over to the iPhone and open up my Messages app, and let me find the message that I want to do this with. I had it opened, but it looks like it. I'll just open this one. So, that's not going to work because I want more messages. Hang on 1 second. I want to open a message that isn't, I don't know if this one will work. It won't. Hang on 1 second. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay, so here's a message that has several messages within it. And if I want to share that with somebody else, Apple does not make this easy. You can't just share the message using the share sheet. They don't allow it. And I'm guessing it's for privacy and security reasons. But there are a couple of workarounds. If I push and hold on a message, I can copy just that single message, or I can tap on the More icon, and then I can select all the messages in that text message, and I can tap on the forward arrow, and now I can text that to somebody that I want to. But what if you have, 25 messages that you want to send? That's a pretty tedious way to go through and select all those messages, but it's possible to do that. The other option is, once you copy them and put them in here, maybe you want to save those messages for yourself to have a copy of that conversation. And to do that is a little bit easier if I tap in here so that I get the icon, the cursor icon, and hold on to it so I can copy it. I'm going to select all, and now I'm going to copy this. And if I come back out and I come into the Notes app and I tap on a new note and I push on the cursor so that I can paste it in, now I've copied and pasted that into a note so I can save it for future reference. But again, if you have a message that has, 25 or 30 messages going back and forth, that may not be a really good option for you to do that. But the only other option available is to screenshot your texts. So, start somewhere and start taking a screenshot by pushing the side button and the volume up button, and then that'll take a screenshot, and then you can add that to your Photos app. But like I said, I think it's for security reasons that Apple does this. You can purchase apps on the App Store that will allow you to do this, but Apple, I'm guessing for security, has not allowed it. So those are the only options I know of to save a text message or share a text message with a friend. So let me come back over. So that's pretty much it. That's all I have for today. If anybody else has any questions, sorry about that little glitch there. I occasionally have that happen where I think I'm sharing the screen and I am not. And then I look up and I say, oh, I did not share that. So, but anyway, I hope finding these Q&As helpful. I would love to receive more questions. If you are not on my newsletter, you can sign up below in the video description. If you are on my newsletter, all you have to do is on any email I send you, hit reply, send me a question. I'll respond to you pretty quickly, but then I'll take that question and I'll add it to the next live Q so that other people can learn from your questions. So if nobody has anything else, I will end this live. I hope you're having a great Tuesday. I hope the beginning of your summer is starting great. It's warm here in Pittsburgh and I'm enjoying the weather. I hope you are too. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.